Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we live. And let me just test this out. I'm still new to going live on the computer. Let me just make sure I'm actually in. Okay, I am in. Happy Sunday. This is something I start to like doing every single Sunday after most of the NFL games. Of course, we have Week 11 NFL action. We had some NBA. My Knicks already played. Got pretty much slaughtered by the Phoenix Suns. We have Sunday Night Football tonight. The Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. Big game for the Chargers to stay in the playoff hunt. Meanwhile, the Kansas City Chiefs are looking to hold on to the top seed in the AFC. Tomorrow night, we have the Cardinals versus the 49ers. I believe we still don't know if Kyler Murray is going to play. Not really sure if Kyler Murray is the better quarterback right now for the Cardinals when compared to Colt McCoy. But we'll see what happens there. That game will be played in Mexico City. So what happened in today's action? Let's take a look. Right now we have this game going on. Ugh, the Dallas Cowboys absolutely destroying the Minnesota Vikings. This looked like the game of the week. We had the 6-3 Cowboys at the 8-1 Vikings. Vikings had that huge win against the Buffalo Bills. Got kind of lucky with that fumble in the end zone that they recovered for a touchdown, but they still were able to prevail. I mean, look at these numbers. Kirk Cousins has been sacked 7 times in the game. Meanwhile, Dak, this is the teacher, mate. Dak has completed 7 of 8, 87.5% of his passes for the game with 2 touchdowns. Look again. Tony Pollard, 6 catches for 109 yards and 2 scores. Ezekiel Elliott is back. He's pretty much splitting the carries with Tony Pollard, but Tony Pollard, man, I believe he's a free agent after the year. Man, is he going to get paid or what? Let's look this up. Tony Pollard contract. I believe he's a free agent after the season. Let's just double check that. Yes, he will be. Man, he's barely making over $1 million this season, and he has been one of the most explosive players in the NFL. But 37-3, quite the embarrassing performance. How many sacks does Micah Parsons have? 2 sacks. Dorrance Armstrong 2. I mean, this Dallas pass rush is just vicious. Of course, I am a Giants fan. That game did not go as planned. 31-18. Detroit Lions. Don't look now. The Lions have won 3 games in a row, and they are actually in second place in the NFC North, with the Packers losing on Thursday night. Who is your NFL's leader in touchdowns? Well, if you look at the Lions, we see Jamal Williams, 3 rushing touchdowns for the game. I believe he has 11 or 12 touchdowns now, which leads the NFL. Meanwhile, Saquon Barkley just completely held in check. Giants just couldn't get anything for him. He saw no holes. I mean, he didn't really have much of a chance to succeed, and this is a Lions defense that really hasn't been anything special. Defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn's faced a lot of heat. I know their defensive backs coach already got fired, but they just could not get anything going. Even Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones, 2 interceptions. I think he had went something like 6 straight games without an interception. So that was disappointing to see. Just was not a good performance from the Giants. Bunch of injuries for the team. Hey, but if you look at the receiving, look at here. Kenny Galladay. Kenny Galladay actually had 2 catches. So what did he have? 2 going into the game, 3 going into the game. So that was good to see him actually show up and do something in the game. Let's take a look here. So we got the Denver Broncos up 16-13 at the 2-minute warning. So it's 3rd and 10. This game is not over. If they could stop them, Denver would be forced to punt. The Raiders are out of timeouts, but maybe they could win and still winless away from home this year. 0-5 on the road. Meanwhile, the Broncos 2-2 at home. I know Devontae Adams has done his thing in this game. Russell Wilson maybe having one of his best games of the season, a 102.3 quarterback rating, no touchdown passes, and 16 points. That's almost like an offensive explosion for the Broncos this season. A stat I heard from Bold Sports Production. Check him out if you haven't. Hopefully he comes on and I could shout him out. But he mentioned that the Broncos would be 8-1 if they had scored 18 points in every game this season. Here we are. They're 16 points may not be enough if they're forced to punt. But looks like both these teams are pretty much out of the postseason. I guess the Broncos would have a little bit of hope if they were able to prevail. Yo, Miles, what's good? Thank you for hopping in. Appreciate that. Then we got the Bengals currently going on. I read Joe Mixon left the game with a concussion. Steelers just punted. Still 12:31 to go. But it looks like the Bengals should be able to pull this one out. Kenny Pickett, not bad. 187 yards and a touchdown. Joe Burrow, another 2 interceptions after I think he threw 4 in the season opener against the Steelers. So hasn't really taken good care of the ball against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But right now he's done enough so far to win. Let's see if he'll be able to finish it off. Let's see what other good games there were. One of the most boring games of the week definitely was that New York Jets, New England Patriots game. If I could find it, where is it? 10-3 final score. Just a terrible game. I was watching the Giants-Lions game. This game was on CBS. Giants-Lions was on Fox. So I was mostly watching this during commercials. And 10-3. Look at Zach Wilson's numbers. Yes, I understand it was a windy day, but even Mac Jones completed 23 of 27 passes. So for Zach Wilson to go 9 for 22 with 77 yards, kind of inexcusable. Look at both their QBRs. Disgusting. Somehow Zach Wilson's QBR was better than Mac Jones, even though Mac Jones' passer rating was twice as high as Zach Wilson's. QBR is like I know it's supposed to be like almost a better version of quarterback rating, but I just don't see it, to be honest. But otherwise, a punt return touchdown at the end of the game was the only excitement we saw, the only touchdown of the game. Meanwhile, the Patriots have now beaten the Jets 14 straight times. So the Jets just cannot break that schneid. Zach Wilson with a truly awful game. But who are they going to bring it? I mean, he's really has not been good this season. I don't know if this is updated, but just 4 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions on the season. 75.5 rating is pretty awful. And just barely above what he did as a rookie. I don't know if you could go back to Joe Flacco, but I mean, you're in the playoff hunt, and if your quarterback's going to be performing like this, you got to make that change. And look at here, already the Raiders 1st and goal at the 7-yard line. I wonder who made the big play. Let's see, play by play. How'd they get this close already? How do I see the current drive? Oh, Keelan Cole, 21-yard pass to him. Matt Collins, 7 yards. Josh Jacobs, 7-yard run. All right, well, can the Raiders prevail to move to 3-7 and Russell Wilson's absolutely miserable season continue with a loss? Again, only 16 points. This team just does not score at all, and it's a shame because they have a great defense even with Bradley Chubb not injured, traded to the Miami Dolphins. Let's see, can the Raiders prevail? Um, they've blown a ton of leads this season. I believe they've blown three 17-plus point leads. Mike McDaniel has definitely faced a lot of scrutiny for the way this season has went. Third and goal, two straight incompletes. Let's see if they are forced to kick a field goal, and then the game likely to go into OT. Broncos have no running game with Javonte Williams out. Latavius Murray, I mean, a lot of people probably don't even realize he's on the Broncos, been their main ball carrier. Chase Edmonds was traded to the team from the Dolphins. Hasn't done much yet in his time there. Let's see, third and goal. Let's see what happens. Incomplete. Three straight incomplete. So it looks like they're going to kick a field goal to send this game into overtime. Meanwhile, let's talk Baltimore, Carolina. Baltimore, a low-scoring affair. This one was 3-3 for the longest time. Actually, it was 3-3 at the end of the third quarter. Ravens put up 10 points in the fourth quarter to prevail, to move to 7-3 and ensure that they stay atop the AFC North. Lamar Jackson, not a very good game. Another game with extremely low QBRs. Lamar Jackson, 24.7. Baker Mayfield, 20.2. Didn't really do much on the ground either. 11 carries for 31 yards, but did have the rushing touchdown, which was the only touchdown of the game. Baker Mayfield back in at quarterback after the P.J. Walker experiment. Well, Mayfield struggled again. 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions for the game. Carolina could just get no running going, and if you're a fantasy owner of DJ Moore, you hate when Baker Mayfield is the starting quarterback. Much like Odell Beckham last season, well, really a lot of his tenure with the Browns, just seemed like Mayfield just couldn't get the ball to his number one receiver, and that's been the case this year with DJ Moore, a guy who's perennially went over 1,000 yards, has just really struggled this season, mostly with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. Demarcus Robinson, what a game for Baltimore. 9 catches for 128 yards. DuVernay, only 1 catch. I wonder if he left the game with injury. I didn't hear anything about that. But Demarcus Robinson will definitely be a guy that's heavily picked up. Carolina is depressing, but I must say that if they continue to keep losing, they'll have one of the top picks in the draft. They clearly need a quarterback, so they can draft that. Hopefully, franchise-changing quarterback. There's a couple guys that are expected to be amongst the top players drafted in the NFL this season. Next year, C.J. Stroud at Ohio State. Then we got Bryce Young out of Alabama. Really the top 2. So, Carolina's definitely going to be looking for a quarterback. So, yes, definitely expect them to draft a quarterback. And for their sake, for fans' sake, they should probably continue to keep losing just so they can get that high draft pick. I'm used to my Giants being like that. Surprisingly, have done well this season, though. Buffalo Bills ended their mini 2-game losing streak, 31-23 victory over the Cleveland Browns, despite 3 touchdown passes and 324 passing yards from Jacoby Brissett. Nick Chubb, 2 straight games where he really hasn't done much at all. Bills shut him down, so even with the stellar performance by Brissett, wasn't enough as the Browns fell at 3-7. They have just 1 game left until Deshaun Watson's suspension ends. So, unfortunately, they are pretty much out of playoff contention already. Would have to win out just to go 10-7, and even that wouldn't be a guarantee that they make the postseason. Josh Allen, no turnovers in this game. I don't believe he had a fumble. No. So that's a big difference from each of the previous 3 games in which he threw 2 interceptions apiece in all 3 of those. Devin Singletary paying dividends for me, as I do own him in fantasy. He now has 3 rushing touchdowns over the last 2 games. James Cook, 86 rushing yards as well. Stephon Diggs didn't get much going, but did get the Bills on the board with a touchdown in the second quarter, their first touchdown of the game. Philadelphia Eagles almost looked like they would lose their second straight after starting 9-0, but were able to prevail by the skin of their teeth with a 1-point victory over the Indianapolis Colts. Jalen Hurts, 72% completion percentage. Again, that's a math teacher in me. 190 yards, had a passing and rushing touchdown. What else is new when it comes to Jalen Hurts doing that? Jonathan Taylor's starting to become a little bit revitalized after a terrible start to the season, at least by his standards. 84 yards and a touchdown just wasn't quite enough, as they were outscored 14-3 in the fourth quarter. And man, what would everyone be talking about if Jeff Saturday started his career 2-0 after all the scrutiny the Colts have faced, after all the bad mouthing that analysts and writers have spoken and written about Jeff Saturday, about how Jim Irsay, him hiring Jeff Saturday was absolutely nuts. He has no experience. Well, if he started 2-0, you might see other teams going that route. Maybe a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers would hire DeMonte Dawson as their head coach, or maybe the Rams would. What's his name? Man, I can't even think of their coach's name. If he were to leave to go to Fox, which had been rumored, maybe they could hire Andrew Whitworth. Maybe all these offensive linemen who really don't have coaching experience could come in and join their teams. But the Colts did lose, falling to 1-1 in the Jeff Saturday era. Yeah, I'm not. I didn't say. I didn't say anything about that. But I'm saying, look at how many people were bad mouthing that hire. Right. It is his team, but I will say that it's also fair for people to, question the hire. If my team were to hire someone that either has no experience or has been terrible in previous stints as a head coach, I would express my opinion as well. So people are definitely allowed to express their opinion, just as it's fine for Jim Irsay to hire whoever he pleases. But at the same token, like, let's say the owner and the GM decide to, let's go with that average quarterback. Let's say that my team's GM and owner decide to give Case Keenum a $30 million a year deal. Yes, it's their team. They're allowed to do it. Am I allowed to think they're absolutely crazy for doing so? Yes, I am, because Case Keenum had one good year at Minnesota, but he is not a $30 million a year quarterback at this point. So I understand it both ways. I wasn't really one to question the hire. I wanted to see how it would work. Beating the Raiders isn't necessarily an impressive feat. If they were able to beat the Eagles, that would be extremely impressive. But they just fell short. But meanwhile, looks like the defending Super Bowl champions will not even be one and done in the playoffs this year, because they're probably not going to make it. The New Orleans Saints beat them 27-20, dropping the Rams to 3-7. Who would have thought? Of course, Cooper Kupp is out for a while. With the team 3-7, he should probably just honestly sit out the rest of the season, get healthy for next year. Matthew Stafford left with the concussion. They went to Bryce Perkins rather than John Wolford. Neither of those quarterbacks are anywhere near starting quarterback ready. Andy Dalton had a very good game. I mean, right now this Rams team is just awful. What can I say about that? Let's go. Wow, look at that. 40-3 now. 40-3. Minnesota. Wow. That is crazy. I definitely expected that to be a very good game. Again, Vikings coming off the high of beating Buffalo, and I just absolutely did not show up. This is not a primetime game. Why is Kirk Cousins playing so miserably. I would expect this to be a Sunday night or Monday night game with the score being that, but it is not. What did I want to see? The Bears. So Justin Fields will be getting an MRI on his shoulder. He has been playing excellent of late. Today, running the ball, not quite as much as the previous two games when he combined for, I don't know, 320, 330, maybe around 320 rushing yards over the previous two games, but still had another 85 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown. But even with his above average play, well above average the previous few weeks, they continue to lose. I believe they're 1-4 in their last 5 games, where Justin Fields is really beginning to show out. Atlanta Falcons still give themselves an outside shot at winning that NFC South. Definitely would have been big for them if they had beaten. Really, I have Garland and I have Nikola Jovic. So uh, I'll be checking that out when I'm done. But yes, the Falcons still have a little chance. Imagine if they hadn't called that roughing the passer on Tom Brady, one of the worst calls I've ever seen, really, where he kind of just, it was just a normal sack. Um, the Falcons weren't guaranteed to win that game, but they would have had a chance. And if they did win that game, the NFC South would be a lot tighter. But the Falcons still have hope, and I read that the team will be continuing to start Marcus Mariota until they are out of the playoffs. So Desmond Ridder will be continuing to stay on the bench. Any games I haven't talked about? The Commanders, look at that. The whole NFC East is now over 500 with the Commanders 23-10 win over the Houston Texans. Easily the worst team in the NFL. Davis Mills was pretty impressive at times as a rookie. He does not look good at all this season. I'm not even sure. Who is the Texans' backup quarterback? I honestly don't know. Texans roster. Let's look at who their backup quarterback is, because I feel like they need to move on from Davis Mills. He's been terrible, but who else do they have? Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen's their only other quarterback. All right, so we've seen Kyle Allen previously as a starter, nothing special. They don't really have that another young guy, so maybe you just stick with Davis Mills the rest of the season. But much like the Panthers, they will be looking for a starting quarterback in the draft. Oh wow, Devontae Adams with the touchdown. I got the notification on Yahoo because I have Devontae Adams in fantasy. So again, the Denver Broncos lose, dropping their record to what, 3-7, I believe. Bronco up, isn't that what Russell Wilson said? What, yeah, man, like probably the most disappointing player in football this season, Russell Wilson. You can't even see the Broncos as a whole. Their offense maybe, but their defense has been very good this season. Um, let's take a look. What other teams besides the Panthers and Texans will be looking to get a quarterback that are amongst the worst teams? Jaguars, no. Browns, well, Deshaun Watson will be back soon. Steelers got Kenny Pickett. Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. The Raiders, possibly. Well, the Raiders are 3-7 now after beating the. I don't think Derek Carr is that bad, but I guess they've had him, what, 7, 8 years now and haven't really had all that much success. So maybe it's best to move on. But I still think Derek Carr is at least a slightly above average starting quarterback. Yeah, but other than the Panthers and the Texans, there's really no bad teams that are definitely going to need a quarterback. The Bears, of course, have Justin Fields. Um, Panthers, as I mentioned, yes. The Saints, 4-7. They'll probably be looking for a quarterback. Probably going to move on from Jameis Winston, and Andy Dalton's not the long term answer. Rams, Carr is trash. Always had. I can't say he's trash. Rams won't be looking for a quarterback, but thank you for showing up. Much appreciated. I can't say Carr's trash. I can't. Let's look at his career numbers. Derek Carr stats. And I know stats aren't everything, but I mean, that record, I'm surprised it's that bad. So with the win today, he's now 60 and 77 as a starting quarterback. I didn't realize it was that bad. But look at his touchdown to interception. And again, I know stats aren't everything, but 206 to 90, that's pretty impressive. Um, this is actually his second worst rating season, and wow, I can't. It's hard to remember that 2016 he finished third in MVP voting. I forgot about that. He said he had four straight 4,000 yard seasons. Four straight 4,000 yard seasons before this one. With the extra game, I'm sure he'll get there again. Fringe top 20. Listen, I don't know if he's top. He's definitely not top 10. I would say probably between. I would give him 12 to 15, somewhere in that range. I would. Um, I mean, let's go team by team. All right, Tua's better right now. I would say Tua's better. Josh Allen is better. That's two. Mac Jones, no. Zach Wilson, heck no. Lamar Jackson, even with today's struggles, of course. Joe Burrow, I'm not the biggest Joe Burrow believer. I think he's good. I'll say he's better than Derek Carr, sure. Four. Steelers, Kenny Pickett, of course, not yet. Browns, I guess you do have to say Deshaun Watson right now is better, even though we haven't seen him play in nearly 2 years. I'll say Watson's better. Five. Ryan Tannehill, no. Matt Ryan, no. Trevor Lawrence, no. Davis Mills, definitely not. Patrick Mahomes, of course, six. Justin Herbert, who I think is overrated. I definitely think he's overrated. I'll say Justin Herbert's better. I'm not sure I believe that. But okay, seven. Russell Wilson right now is not better. So seven quarterbacks right now better. Jalen Hurts, eight, yes. Daniel Jones, I like him. I can't say he's better than Derek Carr. Dak Prescott, okay, fine. Nine. Taylor Heineke, Carson Wentz, no. So that's nine. Kirk Cousins. I see Kirk Cousins and Derek Carr like neck and neck. Like I always consider them like hand in hand, like where I would rank them. Um, so I don't know. I'll put Cousins on the fence. So right now, what did I say? Nine quarterbacks are better. Kirk Cousins on the fence. Jared Goff, no. Aaron Rodgers, fine, but this season, are we positive Wilson isn't better right now? Yes, we are positive Russell Wilson is not better right now. Like you said, if the Broncos scored 18 points in each game, they would be 8-1, and now they would be 9-1. If they scored 18 points today, they wouldn't have went into overtime and they would have won. So no, Russell Wilson right now is not better than Derek Carr. So where was I? Nine. Aaron Rodgers. I don't think Aaron Rodgers right now is good, but fine because of his back-to-back MVPs entering this season. I'll say he's better. 10. Justin Fields. Yes, he's been great the past month. I'm not saying he's better than Derek Carr right now because he's not a better passer than Derek Carr. So 10. Tom Brady, again, another guy who hasn't succeeded as much, but due to his past resume, I'll definitely say he's better than Carr. That's 11. Marcus Mariota, no. Andy Dalton, no. Definitely no one on the Carolina Panthers. Okay, Geno Smith right now is better. Geno Smith right now is definitely better. If I went past resumes, no, but fine. I'll say Geno Smith's better. That's 12. Jimmy G, I almost put in that Kirk Cousins, Derek Carr mold as well, like average starting quarterbacks. So him and Cousins are on the fence. Kyler Murray, I don't know. Before this season, I definitely would have said Kyler Murray's better than Derek Carr. Right now, I honestly don't know if I could say that. The Cardinals are not good. Uh, Kyler Murray hasn't been good. The offense almost looked better with Colt McCoy in there. I can't say for sure Kyler Murray's better. And the same with Matthew Stafford. The way this season's going, I can't say for sure what. And Matthew Stafford and Kyler Murray, I both would have definitely said are better than Derek Carr entering this season. But with what's been going on this season, I mean, look at quick math, right? 10 games. How do I keep all this info in my head? I don't know. So I could do math in my head like crazy. Like I always say, like it's hard for me almost to be a math teacher because of how I could do math in my head. And I'm supposed to tell my students, no, you can't do it in your head. You got to write everything down. But meanwhile, inside my head, I'm thinking, all right, I understand because I could do it in my head too. Like I could do like nearly any math problem in my head, like multiplication tables. Let's just pick a random number. We'll go let's do the 7 times table, like 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, 70, 77, 84, 91, 98, 100, 500, 12, 119, 126, 133, 140, 147, 154, 160, 160, and so on. So basically, yes, like my head, it just is capable of math and numbers and stats. But I mean, I have this up to remind me. I definitely have all this up to remind me. But yes, my head's capable of remembering a lot, and it's really just for math. Like other thing, like I don't know, math. I've just always been able to memorize stuff easily, and I guess that helps with sports and like statistics, and it helps me with percentages too. Like I'll know like just from being a baseball fan and knowing like if you bat 1 for 3, 333 you're batting, so 1 out of 3 is 33.3%, things like that. Sports have helped me with that. But okay, so after doing this, I still tend to agree that Carr is anywhere between, we'll say, 12 and 16 in starting quarterbacks. Do I still think the Raiders can move on? Oh, okay. So I had 12. I had 12 or definitely better. 12 and Geno Smith, I mean, he's been a lot better this season. So I went that 12. So 12 starting quarterbacks are definitely better than Derek Carr. Then I said Kirk Cousins, Jimmy G. So basically the whole NFC West besides Cousins. Kirk Cousins, Jimmy G, Kyler Murray, and Matthew Stafford right now are questionable whether they are better than Derek Carr. Um, I don't know. Would you pay Daniel Jones and Tua? So I've always said I'm a firm believer in Tua. I just thought he was injury prone, and that can change as your career goes on. NBA equivalent off the top of my head, Marcus Camby used to get hurt all the time at the beginning of his career. And what did Marcus Camby end up doing? Playing like 20 plus seasons in the NBA. So it definitely could change. I think the Dolphins definitely should pay Tua. Daniel Jones, man, it's hard. I don't know. Because even with the Giants at 7-3, I don't know if I'm still 100% believer in whether he could be the guy that takes the Giants to that next level. They have Saquon as a free agent too. Noodle Arm. Why do you keep calling him Noodle Arm? That's your quarterback. That is your quarterback. The West is better, so Kirk is right. So is Kirk right at 16. All right. So Derek Carr is basically an to me an average to slightly above average starting quarterback. But he's been with the Raiders so long that maybe it's um, time to move on and go with a fresh face at quarterback. But it looks like it's a two quarterback show in the draft. Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. After that, I mean, like all the mock drafts I've read, Will Levis from Kentucky, but Kentucky's been hasn't been good. They just scored 6 points yesterday. So I don't know how many quarterbacks are going to go in the first round. Definitely two, but after that, I'm not sure. But okay, so Derek Carr round 15, 16. Um, Dallas final 40-3. Bengals 34-23 leaders. I guess the beard can't say the Bengals are going to bungle, right? But beating the Steelers isn't that impressive. But that Cowboys game is shocking. And if the Cowboys play like that on Thanksgiving against the Giants, it's going to be a rough afternoon slash early evening for me watching that game, watching Daniel Jones get slaughtered by Micah Parsons and company. But let's check the standings real quick, and then I'm probably going to head off. So let's just pick the top team that currently isn't in the playoffs that I think could get in. So 7 teams make the playoffs. So right now, the AFC teams are the Chiefs, Dolphins, Titans, Ravens, Bills, Patriots, and Jets. Look at how tight this is. When the Bengals win, they'll be tied. I'm not sure who would have the tiebreaker and who wouldn't be in. Well, the Patriots would have the tiebreaker over the Jets. I'm not sure who would have the tiebreaker between the Jets and Bengals. But out of all the other teams on the outside looking in, I guess the Chargers have a chance. I definitely don't expect them to win tonight against the Chiefs. But other than that, all the teams that are on the outside of the AFC playoff chase, not including either Jets or Bengals, I don't expect to get in. 7 teams in the NFC. So we got the Eagles, Vikings, Giants, Cowboys, Seahawks, 49ers, and not the Commanders, but the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are in because they lead the NFC South. So the Commanders at 6-5 are just outside. Man, the Giants still play the Commanders twice. We definitely have to at least split. I would love to sweep. But after today's game, I can't be confident in that. Giants still got both games with the Eagles and one with the Cowboys. So 5 of the remaining 7 games are with the NFC East. But other than the Commanders, can the Lions sneak in? Winners of 3 in a row. Could a team like Seattle fade and Detroit catch up? I don't see Arizona getting in too many holes. I think Hollywood Brown's back, but they just did lose Zach Ertz, who has been big success for them. Rams are done. Saints are pretty much done. Packers are done. So really, if I had to pick any team on the outside looking in, they should, but the Commanders have been good, and their defensive line looks awesome. Yes, I think the Lions might be the most likely team not currently in the NFC playoffs to get in. And if I had to predict who they would overtake, it would probably be Seattle. And I don't know who else, to be honest. I mean, even as a Giants fan, there's a part of me that thinks there's a chance that they fade out, but I truly do hope not. But we shall see. Vikings, even with their huge loss, are still going to be 8-2. They're going to get in. But I think on that note, I'm going to end. Watch a little TV with the wife before heading to bed and watching the Chiefs Chargers tonight. Definitely think the Chiefs should win that. Monday Night Football, we got the Niners and the Cardinals in Mexico City. Definitely expect the Niners to win that game. Then Thanksgiving, we got our 3 games. We got Buffalo at Detroit, Giants at Cowboys, and New England at Vikings on Thanksgiving. So if you celebrate Thanksgiving, definitely have an awesome Thanksgiving. I plan on eating my face off, probably taking a 2-hour nap like every year, even though I don't want to miss the football games. It's always bound to happen, and I do got to watch my Giants at 4:30. But appreciate everyone showing up, trying to make this a weekly Sunday thing. Monday starts the new work week. Fun. I get observed by my principal tomorrow. Fun. So I've been preparing for that. Hopefully that goes well. But as I always say, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.